Hey Janet.
Yeah.
Hey, what's it called? The reason I'm calling is that
Yeah.
did you speak to Stacy?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I tried talking to her, but the reason I was calling was I was trying to figure out how I can get off this medication, and one of the ways that I figured out was that possibly if I get a re-diagnosed, I could
Mhm.
possibly, you know, apply to the courts and figure this out somehow. Um, what I came up with was like a request from you. You know how we've been seeing each other for the past like almost 2 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me find it. So what I wrote was that if I can get a letter of impression from multiple ACT team members in order to determine their overall opinion of my characteristics such as capacity for intelligence, sensibilities of adaptation, and other noticeable qualities that would accurately represent any overall impressions over the past few years. I could uh,
Mhm.
I could text you that, and if you could take a look at it and come up with some sort of summary, that would be a great help. I'll be able to get off these medications, which I found out were to be pretty harmful to my body. I wasn't aware of what it was actually doing to me. Um,
Mhm. So
and
what were some of your findings about the effects of the medication?
so they say that it affects your sexual health. And then I looked back and I was like, you know what? I have been feeling, inadequate. And then there were other mentions where they say there's twitching involved, and
Mhm.
I've experienced twitching in my legs, my mouth, and it says that, oh, if your lips are twitching, it's a sign of medication that could possibly become permanent. So I tried talking to Stacy and I tried to figure out like what I can do to get off of this, but
Mhm.
she kept mentioning the fact that I need to continue taking the medication. I need to uh something like there's like some kind of time period where I have to, be evaluated, but it's destroying my health. It's becoming
Mhm.
permanent. Like it's been 4 years that I've been taking this medication. I'm pretty sure that there's some pretty significant residual effects at this point, I'm
Mhm.
scared. So the best thing that I can do at this point is a request just from not even from Stacy, because I see Stacy once a month, right?
Mhm.
And I see you guys about maybe like what, 2 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You guys know me way better than Stacy does. So if you guys could come up with some kind of summary, like I'll text you what I would suggest, not even suggest, like this is just something that I thought up of. I was like, this could, possibly um what could be a good word for this? Well, pretty much it's pretty much serves as like an overall evaluation of how you think my thinking process is like.
Mhm.
What are my motivations, my goals, or like my drive, and like any representation you could come up with that resembles what you think of me. So that would be a really big help. I'll be able to present that to the courts, and I'll be able to possibly get not a re-diagnosis, but prove the fact that I've been misdiagnosed.
Have you have you thought about also seeing another psychiatrist or something to get a second opinion? Like, have you thought of trying that as well?
Like I don't have any disorders. There's nothing, like I was describing to Stacy. I was like, look, I don't have any alienating thoughts. I don't have any dependency on on delusions or illusions, whatever. I don't have
Mhm.
any, no suicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
Nothing that is affecting the progress of my life. I've been like over the past few years, like what would be some of the characteristics you would describe that fall under like my personality archetype? Like off the top of your head, like what would it be? Like two things that you could come up with. What would they be?
Just about your personality in general. Is that what you're asking?
Anything that comes to mind.
I would say that, I mean, you've demonstrated over, the time that I've known you that you have been motivated to find a job. That's been one of the main things that you've been working on, since I've known you. And right now, that's, with your insurance, the insurance company tests and everything, that's kind of where you're at as far as like trying to gain employment. So I would say that's like one of the main things that you've been working on is like, having that motivation to go find employment. Um, and so,
What about the fact that I've been scoring hundreds in the test?
yeah, so, you know, definitely like, you having intelligence is not, a question. So, like it doesn't, that's not like what the, factor is here at all. So I guess like, because I didn't know you when you first, became involved with AOT and stuff like that. So I don't really have, I guess, a clear idea as like how you first like got into the mental health system. Like I know you've shared that like it kind of stemmed from like issues with your father and him, calling 911 on you at a certain time. I think you said.
Yeah, but that's when he was absolutely drunk. Like that's a
Yeah.
that's a ridiculous story. But like
Right.
more of like what I'm looking for is like in order to give enough example to the courts where they would deem me like, oh, this person is psychologically fit. Anything that could describe like my mental status, where how I adapt to certain situations, maybe how I describe myself or my ideas and how I progress throughout my, I don't know what to call it, like psychological timeline or something.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
maybe my choice of words, like the lexicon or like the bag of words that I have, like um my linguistic capabilities. Like I don't think that I have any issues, but I do need some kind of representation. And given that you're a psychotherapist, are you a psychotherapist? You're licensed in psychology, is that right?
In social work, yeah.
Social work. So
Mhm.
that does exemplify a certain degree of judgment, right, upon a person's behavior and their personality. So
Mhm.
it's things like that that I'm looking for that could represent me in a positive light. Or even if you have like a negative point of view, which I'm pretty sure you don't. Like I've never tried to be negative in my life. I'm like Buddha. Like all I do is like one up every idea I have. Like I've tried to
Mhm.
progress, as much as I can. Even though I haven't been able to secure a job, even though I've had secure jobs, for whatever reason that like either the schedule wasn't working out or the people there were um inadequate in some sort of way, and
Mhm.
I left the job. But I've always had like a pursuit of like a very motivated pursuit towards my goals. Like anything I target, like I do achieve, and that that resembles that reflects in my 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 capacity to study, where I am scoring hundreds on every single test that I've taken. I scored maybe like a 80, I mean like a 93 or something, and I only had like one question wrong, and that's like out of like four chapters, right? So
Yeah, that's awesome though.
yeah, it shows a capacity that not too many people exemplify. So
Mhm.
like I'll send you a text where like what I wrote earlier,
Mhm.
if you can go into some kind of detail about what you think my personality is like, and if I like ultimately if you think that I need to be on this program,
Yeah.
that's kind of a central point to this whole topic. And if you could somehow describe your impressions of me, um that would be a blessing, because I won't no longer have to be a part of this program. I don't have to take meds
Mhm.
that are destroying my life. Like
Mhm.
it would completely upend my maybe upend is not the right word, but it would really put me back on track, and I won't have to be dependent on this program.
Mhm.
So I know there's this other girl that stops by. Her name is Sophia, I believe.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask her the same thing, if they could come up with like some kind of summary. Like it doesn't have to be like a 10-page report, but as much information as you could put in there of your overall impressions of me, of my development, that would be amazing, and that would really stand out in court, and that would give more reason to let me go, you know?
Yeah. So, I definitely hear you on that. And just one thing is that I would have to check with my supervisor about doing something like this, because since I've been with the team, like we have never like written something like this before or done something like that. So I just have to check as far as like, is this something like we're allowed to do, or like what kind of the policy is on that. So I would have to check before I can, make any promises as far as like being able to write something like that. But I do understand where you're coming from, in that you're concerned about the medications, like how it's affecting you. And of course, you don't want to have these like long-term effects. So I can see why you're just like, you want something to be done about it now. So yeah, so I just have to bring that to my supervisor and discuss it, and then we'll see what we can do from there.
Yeah, like one of the things I was thinking about that I kind of thought where, you know how you guys provide reports on me, amongst yourselves and have like updated topics of discussion about your patients or something like that,
Yeah.
right? You guys do that, correct?
Yeah, we do. We do have to keep, documentation about like, when we visit with you, and the progress and stuff like that.
So the idea I had was that why can't I be informed of that information? Like I
Mhm.
I'm not trying to like create a dependency here, based on your job and everything, but theoretically I should be able to see what is being, written about me or something like that. It's like something I know there's like a law, something called the Information Act, the Freedom of Information Act.
Mhm.
It goes into stuff like that. Like you are able to see how you're represented in whatever capacity, So
Mhm.
I don't think it should be such a big issue for you. But if they do mention like, oh, don't do that, like you'll be messing with your job or something like that. I don't think that would stand up in any court of like law where like if if I tell them like why can't I see the reports it to the judge, I
Mhm.
could possibly file suit for that, and then there's a whole other thing that will just descend. But um, I don't think it should be a problem for you. So just try to make a note of that. I'll send you the text, and
Mhm.
just take a look at it, see what you think. Stream of consciousness. Don't like don't worry about like anything that any repercussions or anything. Nothing will happen to you. It's just like a form of representation that I'm trying to seek out for myself, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Send that over to me, and then, like I said, I'll have to, talk to my supervisor about it, because so far we haven't, actually done something like this before. So I just need to see like, what is the procedure on it. But so yeah, we can keep you updated on that.
Yeah, just one thing. Just mention that I'm trying to get re-diagnosed, not re-diagnosed, but like contest the diagnosis, and that's the only reason that I'm trying to like at this point like this is all I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to
Mhm.
see what you guys think of me, and what are your developmental thoughts about me, and like just stuff like that. Like if it becomes to something like more legal, I mean, I'll
Mhm.
have to like do something about it. But at this point, like I'm just trying to see how this is put together
Mhm.
and how I'm represented.
Yeah. Okay, I think I understand, where you're coming from. So, and if you have anything else like to add to it, feel free to let us know the next time that we speak to you. If you have any other, points that you wanted to make about this, to just like clarify or anything like that. But I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, I'm terrified. Like as soon as I read that the twitches were gonna be permanent,
Mm-hmm.
that's who wants to see a twitching dude walking down the street? That's scary. That is
Yeah.
terrifying. And there's other things like I took pictures of I screenshotted a whole list of side effects, and
Mm-hmm.
it's terrifying. Like I do not want to be taking this medication at all. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid this is already permanent.
Yeah. And you said it's been 4 years
It's been
so
four
far?
years since I've been taking. I think 4 years since I've been taking the medication. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely at least 2 years with you guys. Just about
Mm-hmm.
2 years. But yeah, like it's terrifying. Like I remember the first time I had Haldol, I within like 2 or 3 weeks I was walking down the street and I collapsed and I didn't know what was going on. And then like I was sober, like no drugs, no alcohol, nothing,
Mhm.
and like my legs just gave out and I
Wow.
fell and then I stopped taking it for a little while and then I went to the doctor and then he prescribed it to me again and then within the 2 or 3 weeks I fell again. So
Wow.
yeah, it like I didn't go to the doctor or anything. I thought this was just like something else, like I don't know, like whatever. But it was I realized later that it was definitely the medication. But it hasn't
Mhm.
happened since then. But still, like I remember that 2 or 3 week period that I would, like that would happen to me. So yeah, thanks for taking my call. It means a lot
Yeah.
to me. It means the world to me at this point.
Mhm.
So I'll send you over that text right now within like 2 or 3 minutes. Take a look
Okay.
at it. Um, yeah, just try to make the most of it. It would really mean a lot to me. All right.
All right, so we'll be in touch with you, and I'll again, like I said, I'll discuss it with the team. We'll see, like, what our role is in this and everything. So, all right, I appreciate you reaching out, and
No, I appreciate it. You're like a lifesaver at this point.
all right, well, just I just want to reiterate, I don't want to make any promises at this point because I still have to look into it more. But yeah, anytime that you want to let us know something, we're here to listen to what you have to say. So,
Okay. All right.
all right,
Okay. Thank you
all
so
right,
much.
have a good day.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.